Right. Good afternoon. To the deep dive. They wants to run around all crazy. He'll chill out. Long. What is up? Beata Halg. Over in the YouTube. Make sure get here. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. It's nice to see it. And I are ready. Get things started. So first of all, welcome and thanks to anyone who's watching. If you are new and don't know, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. This is the Deep Dive, which is weekly live stream looking at the CircuitPython project. It was started by Scott Shawcroft, the lead developer. He is working still a bit of a reduced schedule. I think his plan is to pick up the streams again, Deep Dive, starting in the new year. I think he will be back at some point in the new year. And if you are not new, then you may know when he's not around, I like to fill in if I'm available. So that's what I am doing this week, and that's what I've been doing for the last little while here. But if you are, in fact, new, back to the new folks, and you haven't caught the stream before and you don't know what it's about, you can learn more about the main project that gets worked on this stream, CircuitPython, right here at the main website for that project, circuitpython.org. It is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. The way that it typically works is you plug these devices into your computer with a USB cable. It shows up like a thumb drive. You can edit a Python code file on that thumb drive, and when you save it, the microcontroller, the actual computer that's in these little chips here, will execute the Python code for you. And then your code can interface with whatever other hardware you hook up to the microcontroller. So lots of microcontrollers are very generic, generalized devices. They can be used for all sorts of like, sort of warehousey factory equipment stuff, interfacing with different bits and bobs and things. And so they're very generic on purpose. They just, like these ones up here, they have loads of I/O pins. You can hook up whatever little electronic peripherals you need, whether it's lights or buttons or sensors or anything else. There are some that are more purpose-built, like MacroPad here has got, way fewer general purpose, way fewer general I/O pins, but instead it's got built-in like Cherry, press-fit key switch plugs. It's got a rotary encoder knob, a little screen. So this one is kind of made more to be like a little macro pad, as the name would suggest. So there are, loads of different shapes and sizes, but the driving force behind all the ones here, 621 of them currently support CircuitPython, what we usually work on this stream. Both Scott when he's around and I do when I'm here as well. I will say, as always, thanks to Adafruit. If you would like to help CircuitPython and Adafruit and all of the other open source software development that they support by paying people who work on it, including both Scott and myself, one of the easiest ways to do that is by purchasing hardware from them at their website, adafruit.com. It looks like if you are interested, at least for the next couple of days, looks like we got about maybe 2 days left on there. For a little bit of 15% off code. So check that out. If you're interested in purchasing hardware from them, there is a discount code you can use now for items from the gift guide, it looks like. So you can click through and see what items that applies to here. And again, that's adafruit.com. And as always, huge thanks to them for money, putting money where their mouth is, right? Paying folks to work on open source software. I think that's obviously a very, very cool thing they do. And I am hugely grateful for them for doing that. Okay, diving into what I want to work on today, it is more or less tied to this right here, which is OpenPR that I've been working on in display text. I have been, initially my aim was to add accented text, and what I mean by accented text is ranges of text, like substrings within the whole text. I don't know why this is loading so slow. Substrings within the whole text that are accented in some way visually. In this case, the idea is like the original idea was being able to change the color. So for anyone who doesn't know display text and bitmap label, it has a foreground color, it has a background color, but it's pretty much just one color for the entire label. You can't do very much as far as like make this word one color, make that word another color. That was the thing that did not, that was not really supported before. There were some tricks you could do with stacking layers and transparent pixels and stuff. You could kind of put rainbows and other colors behind your text and make them show through. That's a bit of a different use case that I'm less interested in right now. But for the accents, I really wanted to be able to do like a highlight. Like, let's say you have a paragraph of text and you want to highlight like, 3 or 4 words within that text somewhere. We didn't really have a great way of doing that. And so accented label is what I was working on. I did submit it as its own. I just don't think this is gonna load. Here we go. Okay. I don't know what was up with that. I submitted it as its own class, but I got some good feedback from Dan was saying maybe this would be cool if Bitmap label actually could just do not only the accenting, which you can see here with the highlighted amazing, but also what if Bitmap label could integrate the other sort of fancy text classes that we have built up over the years. So there was an outlined label, there was a scrolling label, both of which were like relatively thin wrappers around Bitmap label. Like they extended Bitmap label and then they added just a little tiny bit, a sprinkle of functionality on top. For scrolling, of course, it was like the marquee, trading out which character is in which position. And then for outlined label, it added the extra little border around all the pixels. But both were essentially just Bitmap label with a little bit of extra stuff kind of sprinkled on top. And so Dan's feedback was like, what if Bitmap label did all of this? Which I thought would be pretty cool as well. So that is what I started working on next. I have a new PR open with that. And this is where we're at so far. So I have all 3 of them working together. The accents here allow you to highlight text. And then I have outlines. And you can also use the outlines now as accents. So that's a new bit that was not even something that I had necessarily built the first time around. But once these were all sort of under one roof, it was easy to add. Well, this was actually one of the trickier parts. So maybe I shouldn't go too far with saying it was easy. But after I worked through a couple of the pixel counting issues, this was like relatively easy to add once they're all under one roof. So what I would like to do, I think, for the deep dive is, first of all, I'm going to show you real quick what the API looks like, just because this is like brand new stuff. It is in the PR right now. Anyone who's interested in using it, you totally can grab it from this PR. But as with any sort of hot off the presses type thing, when you're getting it from PR, it's obviously not merged yet, so the API is subject to change and all that stuff. But right now, this is what the API looks like. I'll show you that first, and then I have something I would like to do to try to improve on one sort of like specific bit within it. But basically the way this works now is you just, again, it's all under the Bitmap label roof now. So there's no more outlined label. There's no more scrolling label. Bitmap label has all the same functionality that those used to have. And it also now has the accenting functionality. So I won't show you the normal outline and the normal scrolling. That stuff already existed. The only thing that changes is just now it's inside Bitmap label instead of its own class. I mean, we are going to look at the scroll. We're going to look at this example, which has all of it together, but I won't show you that stuff separately because it already existed. The accent and then pulling it all together, that's the new stuff. So the accent API, there are actually 2 ways you can do it. You can either add an accent to a substring, like this one is saying right here, where you pass the substring that you want to accent, and then you also pass a foreground color, a background color, and then optionally is the accent type. So if you don't specify a type, then you'll get the default, which is like foreground, background. That's the sort of normal highlighting, this purple that's around this white CircuitPython right here. That's the normal accenting, the foreground, background. And then the outline is this one here that's on awesome. So add accent to substring. That's one of the APIs. And then I will show you the other one, even though it's actually not used right now in this code. It's good to show anyway. Add accent range. This is the other one. So you can, instead of passing a string, you can also just pass a start and end index of characters within the full text. So two ways you can do it. You can either give it a number for start and a number for end. The indexes, those are character indexes inside the string. Or if you know the thing you want to highlight is like the word CircuitPython, you can pass that as a string. Internally, it's going to find the start and the end index, and it's going to use the other function. But this is just like a more convenient API way. And then scrolling label, of course, you got to call update on it, which will get it to do its little marquee action right here. So this will just scroll kind of continuously. We have a longer string than can fit in the whatever it was, like 20 maximum characters that we defined right there. So it will just, one character at a time, it'll always just be sliding them over, pulling up the next one. Okay, so this is very cool. Again, if anyone's interested, it is in the PR. You can check it out. I'm happy to get feedback from anyone who does use it. But like I said a minute ago, it's not merged, so it is subject to change still. So don't be, maybe hold off if you are going to be upset if the API changes. But what I would like to work on is, it's like super minor. I don't know for sure if I'll succeed, and I don't know that it's like that important necessarily, but I thought it would be a good sort of bite-sized chunk to try on Deep Dive here, because I don't think it will be that hard if it does work, and we might get a little bit of a benefit out of it. So the specific thing that I'm interested in improving is the scrolling text. It slows down when outlined accents are used. So when awesome is visible in this text here, two things happen. First of all, one is that it just kind of gets chunkier, like instead of moving as smoothly as it does normally, which is, it's a little bit chunky all the time because it is on just a 0.3 seconds animate time to move characters there. So it's not a smooth scrolling thing. It's got a little bit of chunk to it. But when awesome is on the screen, that sort of chunking gets worse. And the other thing is there's sort of like a black flash that's more prevalent when there is an outlined accent section on the screen and it's trying to scroll by. And I think that the main reason for that is that the outline code is like not really efficient at all. It is over here. Wow, there's a lot of outline here now. It's called, what is it? It's called, I think, add outline. Add outline. So the logic in here is what actually does the manipulation of the bitmap to add that outline into it. Maybe we'll keep this open, but just shrink it some. And it is not really efficient at all. It is straight up just looping over every pixel in that bitmap. The one that you give it, which is, in the case of the scrolling text here, it's going to be looping over the bitmaps that contain the individual characters. In the case of the normal sort of outlined label that's not scrolling, it's going to be looping over the entire bitmap label. So bigger bitmap in the case where it's not scrolling. But if it's not scrolling, then it's not constantly updating the screens, and it's not really that big of a problem. So when it is scrolling, though, we have a smaller bitmap, but the fact that we're constantly refreshing the screen means we really feel the pain of the lack of efficiency a bit more, I think. And really all it does is loop over the pixels in the bitmap, try to find any pixels that have a value of 1, and because these came from the font, we know the font is always 0 index, 0 color index in the background, and 1 color index in the foreground. So we're essentially looking for any pixels that are represented by the pixels in a letter. So any white in the CircuitPython, or any gray in the rest of the text there, or any blue in the case of awesome. Any of the pixels that are actually part of the text that we have rendered. Whenever we find one of those in here, all it does is just blit this other bitmap, which is called stamp source, which is actually just a 3x3. If your outline size is 1, it's just a 3x3. If your outline size is bigger, then it'll be a 5x5 or a 7x7 or whatever. But this is just a square, plain bitmap that's just a square. It's filled with the color index 2. And so when that gets stamped in, the one other sort of fancy thing it does to make this work is it does the skip destination index of 1. So it's never going to override the color index 1. It's only going to override other color indexes. In our case, the only other color is going to be 0. But what that means is it's going to take every pixel that was like a white pixel, and it's going to stamp kind of like the 8 pixels around it, because it took a 9 by 9 and it stamped it right on top, and it centered it over it. But we know that center one is white. We know that center one is index 1, and that's going to get skipped. So it essentially paints all 8 pixels around the white pixel with a color, excluding any other white pixels. So we'll also skip the next pixel over if it's white or whatever. So it's just going around pasting these little 9 by 9s everywhere in order to build up the outline. There's no efficiency built in. It's not like trying to skip the pixel if it's already been done or anything like that. It's just redoing work, and it is looping over every pixel in the bitmap, which is like, faster than it could be, certainly, but is slower than it would be if we did this a little bit differently. What I would like to try to do to solve it, I think, is implement an outline similar to this, but inside of Bitmaptools. So I have CircuitPython Core open up here as well, and I'm open to the Bitmaptools shared bindings, and I actually just recently added replace color, and I think we can just start with replace color, because this function is going to be very similar to replace color. Excuse me. So essentially, I would like to move this logic from Python code into the core, and then see like how much of an improvement that makes to the rendering. And if it's like really, really nice, then I'll PR this. If it's doesn't really matter that much, then we'll throw it away. We maybe learn something along the way. Yeah, that's what my plan is. So I will start a new branch, just because I think if we do end up PRing it, this will be easier here. Bitmaptools, add outline or outline. I'm gonna call it outline for now. Bitmaptools outline. And then if we put this here inside of Bitmaptools, the other nice thing about that is it will then be usable for other stuff as well. So outline label, or bitmap label, because it's now part of that, bitmap label will continue being able to use it, but other stuff could use it as well. So you could do things like a box with a border around it, because you could draw rect, and then you could outline your drawn rect. So it would give you a couple of options, a couple new sort of ways that you can draw things. Yeah, so we want to say we're gonna have a target color and an outline color, because what we're gonna do is the same thing. We're gonna search through every pixel in the bitmap. We're gonna try to find any pixels that are the target color. Excuse me. When we do, okay, this is actually different though. We don't want an outline color. I don't want to take the color here. In fact, I want this to be a little bit more generic. What I would like to do is destination bitmap, and then I'm going to call this stamp bitmap. I don't know if that's the best name for it. It's what I called it in the other one. So I don't have a better idea off the top of my head. Maybe if we do make it all the way to PR, there'll be a review with a better idea. Let's see. So this is going to be our 3x3. And it already has a color inside of it. So we don't need to worry about the outline color. We do need the target color, because we only want to outline, we're only going to draw an outline around one color. So we're going to say add an outline around any pixels of target color in dest bitmap by stamping. What is this? Why does it want to write this here? By stamping stamp bitmap. Or blitting by blitting bitmap over every instance. Target color. I feel compelled to also add like just say 3x3 bitmap to outline. Okay, and you would use a bigger bitmap to get a bigger outline. 5x5, that would give you 2. 7x7 would give you 3, so forth. Oh, this changed. This should be bitmap instead of dest bitmap on replace color. Actually, that got changed in the old one, but it was because like here it was bitmap, right? So it just didn't get updated. That real quick. Well, and so this one I don't want to call it just bitmap because there's actually 2 bitmaps, right? So I think having the destination and the name there good in this case. It helps it be more clear. Changed. Target color. Index that will have the outline drawn around it. Map palette index. Not really the right way to phrase it, is it? Bitmap palette index of this color. Map palette index pixels. Pixels with this bitmap palette index will have the outline drawn around pixels with that color of that color. Color we don't have, we actually have okay, outline takes those, so let's fix it here. So we do want dest bitmap, we do want target color, and then we're gonna need arg bitmap. Required. That's just, I think it's because it's like it can't find it because it has to get declared by pre-committer. The Q strings, they get made as part of the build process. Old color is gonna be target color. That's also required. Yeah, so all those are required. Validate args. Yeah, this one I don't know why this one's red, but I don't think that's an error either. Thing there. So destination. Gonna also do stamp. It is stamp bitmap dest. Okay, so validate that our bitmaps are actually bitmaps. Raise a nice exception if they're not. We only have one color now. Target color. We don't have any color depth either, so we can have target color. Say color equals arg. Wrong thing. Arg Target color. Color depth we don't have. Technically, I guess we would want to make sure that the colors that are in the stamp bitmap, like if the stamp bitmap had the index, 47 in it, and the destination bitmap only had 10 colors, that would be a problem. But I also don't want to just check every. I mean, I guess I don't just want to check every pixel of the stamp to make sure that it's. To make sure that it's going to work. I guess what we could do is we could say color depth dest. I don't know what is this? Why is this not getting declared? Getting declared before I already deleted it? Oh, right. It gets declared here. Let's actually make this. Let's say dest color depth stamp color depth. We have both. This. And then we'll say if the stamp has more than the destination, we'll call it a problem. Even if technically they're not in use, it should rule out all the ones that actually won't work. It's going to rule out some of the ones that would work as well. It's unfortunate, but it will rule out all the ones that definitely won't work. So if the stamp color depth is greater than what all of that is, if that's greater than the dest one, then we have the problem of value error, more colors. And must have at least as many colors. Damn. I don't know if that's the best way to word it, but we can tweak that. Okay, and then this is just calling common how, so that's over into shared module, common how, Bitmaptools, outline. This will be similar. So destination, stamp, target color. Oh, much. Then we will declare this here. I replace color because it feels similar. So it has destination. It has another bitmap. Of course, and then target color. A little bit. I mean, this one is just all the way back here. Or whatever. Something's going to do formatting anyway. All right, so now that's declared. We can go into shared module. Past him was nice and opened up all these things for me. So let's trade one. Why it's declared the things. Better at guessing sometimes than okay. and then also target color. Is a what? uint and this is actually going to start same. All the way to here. This will be target color instead. Barely changed. Then here is where the difference is. So this one was just replacing the color. It was simply writing a new pixel over the old pixel with the new color. But this function, though, this one is going to do the blit, which is in the same file that we are in. We can just call it directly, kind of. Find where we were. Figure out what the arguments are here if we can both. We need the destination and the source first. So destination, that's easy. It's just destination. Worry about XY just yet. The source is stamp. And now the XY. So that's going to be the XY that we're actually in. So that is actually just X and Y because those are the name of our looping variables. And we also want skip source index, skip dest index. So we need. I need to figure out actually what do we pass to these things? Like what happens when these are none, for instance? Basically, we want to treat those as none. Those ones are 0. Ray blit. Actual blit. They're listed a little bit differently. But what actually gets passed through? So MP const none is the default. Zero for the x1, y1. MP from int 0 and then MP from rom none. From it's rom. Then those would just get passed all the way straight through. Coordinate pairs. M. Interesting. This one actually just takes the address of the first one. So I assume it's going to like automatically look at the next chunk of memory to find the next one. I don't necessarily want to do all of that because I think we're gonna. I don't think we need to validate. Because everything should be fine, I think. But we should be able to pass through like MP. What's the difference between these? MP ROM none constant. Well, we have XY, so destination source XY. Need X1, Y1, so those both default to 0. Different. 0 and 0. then we want none and none, so try this one up here in this file. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. Skip source index, so that is also none. But skip dest index. What does that say? Oh, shoot. Those ones are different. Those ones have a separate Boolean. Fascinating. Okay, so in that case, I guess we would go, let's just say, could make something up, I think. But then Boolean skip source index, that's false. But then for destination, that one we do actually want to do. So the destination index, that is going to be the target color. And then, oh wait, this is true, right? Yeah, source, skip source index none. Yeah, so we want that to be true because we want that to be none. Then if we, worry about that in a minute. Target color, and then this one would be false. Does not like, I guess because that's an int, right? Skip source index. No comma. Yeah, so that's not gonna work either because those are also ints. Them. Rectangle. Validates a coordinate range pair. They starting with arg1, x1, and then having a width and height. Correct. So this uses like a list here, so it's accessing those other 4 values after the pointer to this one, after the address to this one. I do not really follow what this is doing, so if in2 is none, then out2 lim. Int here. This code is confusing because for one thing, I still don't know what lim is supposed to mean as a word. Like, what is it describing? I don't. But out here inside of the blit function, lim is representing a rectangle which has an x1, y1, x2, y2. But then inside of this function where lim is getting generated, here lim is an integer. And it only gets set into one index within out, which I assume that the rectangle operates like a list, an array. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 indexes match up with x1, y1, I'm assuming. And I just don't know what it's going to do when these are none. What if we try this? Because we know that lim, x1, y1, we know these four things are what get passed along. So what if we just do, never actually remember this off the top of my head. Plat print, I think. I want to print that. Do a %d for x, I think. One, e, 2, x1, y1, x2. Here. I have the fruit jam is what's plugged in here. I don't know if I said that before, but it's fruit jam hooked up to an HDMI adapter. So we're gonna go to Raspberry Pi, plus boards, make board. Pasted that. Might be halfway implemented here though. I might need to comment out a bunch of stuff to get this file. I don't know if these are gonna be mad. Really, all I need to do is be able to call blit and see what it prints. E1 equals a bitmap that's by 10 and colors. Map 2, make it 5 by 5 by 4 in 4 colors. That's fine. BMP2.fill with, let's do split Destination is BMP1, source is BMP2, XY 0, 0. They leave everything else default. This won't do anything. It will do that blit for us. It will copy the stuff from this bitmap into this bitmap, but we're not showing it, we're not printing it, we're not doing anything with it. All right, this is, yeah, so it says, you guys still have a copy of something probably. So outline would need another one of these, I assume, but I'm guessing that I left. For one thing, now outline. Blitten bitmaps. Indeed we are. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of pixel pushing the last couple of days working on stuff. Nope, still bad. Okay, what is next? Void 8 of split, make integer. I think this is not happy with what I did there. This is void, so we should be able to just thing the. This is void. We should be able to just comment it out. Leave the function and hopefully compile. And I just need to call blit. I'm not actually ready to test outline. Really need to see what blit is, what integer blit is using when you pass none for x2 and y2. It's all. That worked. So then we go to bootloader mode. Fruit jam. cp build the fruit jam. So theoretically now, when it runs that blit this time, it should print that stuff for us. One thing is, though, it might go too fast. Like, see here, we're not connected yet. Like, now we're connected, but honestly, that code's probably done. But again, there we go. 4 and 4. So it basically, it took the height and width. Which makes sense because it's defining a rectangle within source that it's going to cut. So if you want to cut the whole thing, it would have to give you the whole thing. Also then why it's passing that height and width, passing that. Here it took height and width, and then indeed those were getting set. We would have to trace this to figure out exactly how it gets set, but I'm assuming these get set into here in those cases. Okay, so that's easy enough. We can do that. So then back to shared module. Inside of our outline function, instead of none and none, this will be the height and width of the stamp, which is accessible this way. It's x2, y2, the width and then height. Does it build? It does indeed. Okay. We're getting somewhere. And okay, but it's not going to work still because I have not done everything inside of here. So, outline. So we're Doing this stuff now. We need to add it to this list of things down here. This one. This. Line. Outline. Okay. And let's try to see if it works a little bit more with this basic example before we throw it right into the text thing. So let's say we have. So let's make this one 3 by 3 actually. And fill that with 2, that's fine. Let's fill this with 0, which it should already have zeros in it, I think, but just in case, let's do that. Let's go bitmap1 dot, no, bitmap1, so we could say here xy. So really what I want is like a pixel somewhere near the middle. I'm going to say 5, 5 to get me sort of near the middle. We're going to set that to 1. Then we're going to go and call our new function. Destination is bitmap1. The stamp is bitmap2. The target color is 1. And then we want to be able to show this as well. So let's make a tile grid 1. Just going to make a palette named P. For 0 is going to be almost black, but not quite. Let's do like E1 is going to be white. So we're going to make a white pixel in the middle. This. Okay. And then 2, the outline color, because that's what we filled the stamp with. We'll make red. Or green, actually. Let's do green. Now green, well, green. Let's do red. IO. We don't actually need a 4th color because we're not actually using all 4. Let's leave that. Tile grid has this, so I don't really need it, but I tend to always like having a group as well. In fact, it would be nice actually bigger since 10 pixels. That display dot display dot root group. So we've got our bitmap, we filled it with 0, we have a palette, we painted 1 pixel in the middle, we set up a tile grid, a main group, we showed that bitmap 1 on our display, do our tile grid in our group, it's scaled to 3, we painted a white pixel, we created a stamp called outline. That is everything. Go to bootloader mode. We actually generated this, but I didn't actually copy it. Go bootloader mode, we'll copy this. And then I don't remember if I saved it. If I didn't save it, then that's unfortunate. We're gonna have to redo that stuff. And if I did save it, then maybe we'll get to see it actually just work at the end here. So I have boot animation set up still in my boot pie, so we get to see the FruitJam OS boot animation. Oh, you know what I don't? Oh yeah, I didn't save it. That's super unfortunate. I wonder if row here, PyCharm. you. Thank you. Oh, and also the one thing we will still need is actually this. Otherwise it won't stay on the display. Oh, module doesn't have outline. What outline? It has no outline. Bitmaptools. And I copied the build. Outline. Tool outline object. Bird thing. We don't really know why it didn't work. So I'm just gonna try a clean build. Did it works after that? Or at least let it do that. This here we have there's our IDE is a little up. Hopefully we just need a clean. I don't really see anything. Would be the most likely cause that error. I don't know how the clean. I don't know what gets saved in between builds. Definitely a lot of stuff does because it takes less time. Obviously, this build's taking way longer than the last ones. There to here. Have the correct name here. So, like, that's important that this name is correct. Then this thing here is important. If these are wrong, then it will get this error. Correct to me. Bootloader, copy this. It's gonna be the animation again. We'll wrap it up here in just a minute as well. Kind of want to see if I can get this to work with the last couple of minutes here. Okay, it didn't crash, but it didn't do anything either. I don't see anything visually. I never added the tile grid to the group. Never added the tile grid to the group. I created a tile grid, I created a group, I put the group on the display. Never did that. I have auto reload. Okay, there we go. Okay, so yes, X and Y should not have been 0, 0. They should be they should be 1, 1 for the case when we're blitzing a 3x3, but really they need to be like half the size of the stamp. Because we want to center the stamp on the pixel that we're outlining. That's how we get the outline all the way around it. Like here we have red, but it's kind of only on the bottom and the right of the pixel. We want that red all the way around. But we're really close, I think. I'm going to try to solve this real fast. I know we're basically at time. Ooh, this is blue now, which is fascinating. But okay. So it should not be XY. It should be XY minus half of the height and width. So X minus stamp. We need to get that back to an integer as well. Can you do that in C? Yeah, that's right. Try to get it in. Have X minus half of the width, Y minus half of the height. Oh, it. Well, okay, we don't. Okay, yeah, we don't need that because we're in the middle of a list of arguments here. So, and then we're 3 by 3. I'm assuming this will truncate, so we should get 1.5 and then truncate down to 1, which is exactly what we want. Faster to the draw. I could have Control C, Control D. There we go. Okay, so now the red is perfectly outlining the white. So that's exactly what we want. So this should maybe work. I'm going to give it a... We're going to throw the Hail Mary, see if it does actually work. If it doesn't, I'm not going to fix it right now. We'll call it for the night. For anyone interested, I'll be back tomorrow over on my own stream at 10 a.m. Central Time over on my own channel. I'd say I drop links here in the live broadcast chat on Discord before I get started. Or when I get started, I should say. So yeah, I will be ashamed to come all this way and not see if it works. But if it doesn't work, I'm not going to fix it right now. So what we would need to do is inside of add outline here, we would basically get rid of all of this, and instead we would be able to just say bitmaptools.outline the bitmap that was requested. So that's that. The stamp is our outline, which is stamp source, and then the target color is 1. Yeah. And I don't. We'll have to maybe do something about that later. I don't know. We probably need to somehow catch this, but I don't know exactly what it's going to look like coming out of this one. All right. Let's try. So this is the one that does everything. This does scrolling and outlines and accents. But I do have this one back here, which is just outlines. Let's try it first. Oh, that looks correct. I think that looks correct. Okay. And then it, you know, since that one wasn't scrolling, it like technically it probably got faster, but it doesn't matter because it's more or less instant when you're not doing it every single frame. Oh, we need to turn off that print. All right, here we go. Oh, yeah. So it's still flashy, honestly. It still flashes black. But this one kind of does that too. But it's the speed, I think, is totally better. It's like constant now. It doesn't slow down while this is on the screen. Before it like slowed down kind of noticeably to my eye. Like we're on a 1/3 of a second scale right here. This is probably slowing it down a lot also, actually. We're on a 1/3 of a second animation time here. And it was like, to my eye, it was like noticeably looking slower than that. Anytime that the outline accent was on the screen, it was more like half a second or something. So it's like the end of the world, but it was definitely slower. And now it looks constant to me. And I do think this is probably slowing it way, way, way down. So I'll go turn that print back off at some point, and I imagine that might help a little bit more. But that is going to do it for tonight. I will do that bit later. Thank you to everyone for watching. Like I said, I'll be back over on my channel tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central Time. I'll drop some links when I'm getting started there. I need to shift the whole tile grid up one outline. It is, yeah, that's totally true. Right now, the outline text is like 2 pixels. Well, it's based on the outline size, but it's below the other text. Yeah, and I might try to solve it at some point. I'm not certain, because really what we need is like all the rest of the text to move down, I think, because we can't move the outline text up because it's at the top of the bitmap. We don't have any room above it, but that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But it has a very astute observation. That is definitely true. The outlined accents are like a pixel or two lower. They're not lined on the center line. Yeah, that is true. All right. Thank you again, everybody. I will be back tomorrow. I should be back next week as well. I think, yeah, I think the plan right now is like I'll be around for deep dive next week. I'll be around for deep dive the week after. But the following one I'll be gone. So it's like Christmas is here. I don't know about the second just yet. I mean, that's next year anyway, but I may still be out for New Year's. I'm not sure, but definitely next 2 weeks we'll do deep dive. So same time and place as today. That's 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Central. I'll be back here next week on Friday the 12th and also on Friday the 19th. Until then, I will bid you farewell. Thank you so long. Goodbye, good night. See you later.